Good morning, beloveds. So, if you happen to see yesterday, I had a tough day yesterday. I had a tough morning. But we took the cat that I was afraid we were going to lose to the vet, and we got good news. It's tempered. It's tempered. We've got an official diagnosis of kitty dementia, but it doesn't really affect his quality of life. However, his heart murmur was gone and he had gained half a pound. Considering he has hyperthyroid, that's really good. It means he was under medicated. So, doubling the meds helped, and she's added one more med because he's elderly. He's 17, and it means he's going to be around for a little bit longer. And anybody who tells you that it's just a cat or it's just a dog, they're wrong. Straight up wrong. And what I'm going to remind you is that they are unconditional love, and that they are with you more than just about any other being in your life. And so it hurts when you know, and I know they're not going to live forever. They're not supposed to. So that was what the ugly cry was about yesterday. And I tell you that whatever is going on in your life will inform the way you do any kind of reading, especially sacred reading or enriching reading, which is what this is. And yesterday was about making a decision, and it was a decision that we got to make in favor of keeping him for a little bit longer. You know, he could live another year, he could live another 5, he could live 6 months, we don't know. But it's more than we thought we had. So, yeah, that's what the ugly cry was about yesterday, and I honestly, I really do want to go back and take that video down. But I'm not going to. And I will upload it to my YouTube. Because I think people need to see real emotion, you know. Too many times people apologize when they cry, and you shouldn't have to. You should be able to feel your feelings and show your feelings without fear of what other people are gonna think. So, I am overcoming my conditioning by leaving that video up and posting it to my YouTube. I will put a warning on it, though. It's like, this has an ugly cry in it. Okay, so it is February. I'm pretty sure it's February. Yeah, it's February 10th. Our title is No Confusion Can Exist for Me. I am established in peace. And the quote... He hath said in his heart, I shall not be moved, for I shall never be in adversity. That is Psalm 10:16. The Psalms aren't long. If you have not read them, I encourage you to go read them. There's a whole bunch of interesting stuff in the Bible. The Psalms are really interesting. So go read Psalm 10, see what they're talking about. We are established eternally in a peace which has never been disturbed. When the appearances of adversity and confusion confound us, it is indicative that the definite meditation is needed to restore our thought in the peace that forever abides in fullness. God is never disturbed, hurt, or aware of adversity. The universal mind only knows the peace, order, and harmony of itself. Within us, this same spirit knows these things for us in our individual worlds. As we remember this and affirm this, we are moved out of adversity into prosperity, out of error into truth. No confusion can exist in the mind of them whose thought is stayed on God. Our homes and businesses will take on this same harmony, for these are merely the extensions of our thinking and respond to each mood of our consciousness. We then abide in peace and work in order. To every inharmonious and disturbing idea in my mind, I say, "Get thee behind me, Satan, for I refuse to be disturbed today." I dedicate myself to 24 hours of peace, order, and constructive thinking. God's presence in my world guarantees my peace. The adversities of material thought and situations cannot come nigh me, for God's inner love maintains me in divine accord with all that is good and true. Nothing can confuse me, for I know that God's mind in me is always calm, poised, and sure, and this mind is my mind now. I use each hour to demonstrate the peace of being. I work in peace, I walk in peace, for God is the peace of my soul. So what it kind of reminded me of is Pandora's box. If you're familiar with Greek mythology, hang on, let me stretch for a minute. The gods were angry at humanity, and so they were like, I know how we can do this. So they created the perfect woman. They created Pandora. And what they did, and then they gave her a bride gift. I forget who they married her to. They married her to some king that they wanted to punish. And the bride gift that they gave her a box. And Pandora opened the box, and everything bad got out. Diseases and fear and insecurity and all that got out. And apparently one of the gods felt a little guilty, so one of the gods put hope in the box. And Pandora managed to slam it closed and keep hope in that box. And so now, okay, so here's where I'm stretching. What that reading reminded me of is that the predicaments that we get ourselves into in the material world, because the material world is, I'm going to use the phrase, the glass, we see through the glass darkly. It's hard to see pure spirit and pure spiritual ideas from the material world, because the material world takes up a lot of our attention. And so what this reading is reminding us of, that the spiritual world's got none of the messiness that the material world does, even though the material world comes from the spiritual world. And so what Ernest and Raymond are reminding us of is that which we seek, the peace, the harmony, the order, the joy, the happiness, are held in the box, in Pandora's box. They are held in Pandora's box. They cannot be touched by the messiness of the material world, because they are spiritual ideals. They are spiritual ideas and ideals. And so when when Pandora slammed that box closed, she kept hope from escaping and held it into a container that would also keep it from being confused by the messiness of the material world. And that's what Ernest is reminding us. It's like God holds these ideals, and God holds them within this vessel, this box, so that they can't be confused. And what we have to do is remember, hey, we have this box with these ideals, ideas in them, and we have access to them all the time. But sometimes what we need to do is we need to go to that secret chamber where we keep our box, and we need to open that box, and we need to look in that box, and we need to go, oh yeah, this is the real truth here. Peace, love, joy, harmony. That's the real truth. And when we fill up on that, then we bring it back out into the messiness that the material world can be, and we start to bring order back to our world. We always have access to it. And if we would go more often and look in that box that God holds for us, then we could have more peace in our world, because it's coming from an inexhaustible source, a source that can't know the messiness of the material world. It's just not possible, because God has nothing to compare it to. We do, because we think we're separate. All right, so Pandora's box today. Sometimes I stretch my metaphors. Hopefully I didn't break that one. All right. No confusion can exist for me, for I am established in peace. Because I got a box that cannot be contaminated. I commit the psalm to you, or commend the psalm to you. Go read it. They hath said in their heart, I shall not be moved, for I shall never be in adversity. Psalm 10:6. Go read it. See what the psalm's actually talking about, instead of reading that one line out of context. Okay, so we are established eternally in a peace which has never been disturbed. That's what we came from. That's what we will go back to. But while we are having this confusing material existence, we have to remember that. We have to actively seek it out, which is the point of spiritual practice. Whatever your spiritual practice is. When the appearances of adversity and confusion confound us, it is indicative that definite meditation is needed to restore our thought in the peace that forever abides in fullness. Okay. Definite meditation. He's going, go meditate. Go to that place of the one that resides within you. Spend some time with it. Spiritual practice. And you do it in whatever way that it looks like to you. God is never disturbed, hurt, or aware of adversity. God has nothing to compare it to, because there is nothing outside of God. The universal mind only knows the peace, order, and harmony of itself. What its creations get up to, meaning us, that's a different thing. Within us, this same spirit knows these things for us in our individual worlds, because we all live in our own world. We say it. I live in my own world. You do. Your perception of the world is different than every other living thing. So your perception, you do literally live in your own world. And God holds that box for you, so that when your world gets messy, because they do, you have somewhere to go. Always. As we remember this and affirm this, we are moved out of adversity into prosperity, out of error into truth, because we remember who we are, which is beloved children of God. Let me be clear about that. Our homes and businesses will take on this same harmony, for these are merely the extensions of our thinking and respond to each mood of our consciousness. That's what I'm saying. We go there, we fill up, we bring it back into our material expression. We then abide in peace and work in order. To every inharmonious and disturbing idea in my mind, I say, quote, "Get thee behind me," close quote. And it's funny, but you know what? Hey, try it. When you got one of those thoughts that pop up in your mind and you're like, yeah, no. If "get thee behind me, Satan" doesn't work for you, try something else. But recognize that those thoughts are not the truth of you. For I refuse to be disturbed today. I dedicate myself to 24 hours of peace, order, and constructive thinking. All right, if 24 hours is too much, dedicate yourself to 1 hour. And then tomorrow, try 2. And the day after that, try 3. Or try 15 minutes or a half an hour. Start with whatever bite you think you can take and work your way up. And work your way up. And then suddenly you'll notice that you can go for stretches at a time. And you're like, wait, oh, this could work. This can work. All right. God's presence in my world guarantees my peace because I have somewhere to go to remember what it feels like. And if I can remember what it feels like, I can hold it. That's what I said about my mental stability. That's what the prescription did for me. For the 2 years I was on Lexapro, I had forgotten what happy, normal felt like. The prescription allowed me to do that. And so now, for more than 15 years, I can hold that without needing the prescription. All right? But if you need the prescription, please take the prescription. Because this is an organ, and if it is not working, take the help you need to make sure that it works the way it is. We do the same thing for every other organ in the body. Our limbs, heart medication, what have you. This is an organ too. Don't let anybody shame you for needing, for taking a prescription to make this work better. And if they try, send them to me. I'll set them straight. Everybody deserves to be happy. Everybody deserves to be happy. The adversities of the material, thought, and situations cannot come nigh to me, for God's inner love maintains me in divine accord with all that is good and true. Nothing can confuse me, for I know that God's mind in me is always calm, poised, and sure, and this mind is my mind now. Did you hear me just claim that? This mind is my mind now. God's mind is your mind. All of the things that God is, the calm, poise, sure, all of that, you have access to. I use each hour to demonstrate the peace of being. I work in peace, I walk in peace, for God is the peace of my soul. All right. So the mission today, should we choose to accept it? I'm going to use the one where I dedicate myself to 24 hours of peace, order, and constructive thinking. All right. So that's the mission. For 24 hours, we are going to dedicate ourselves to peace, order, and constructive thinking. And when we find ourselves slipping out of that track, it's okay. We will simply reorient. If we can do 15 minutes, that's amazing because it's 15 minutes more than we had before. All right? So, for 24 hours, peace, order, and constructive thinking. And I will tell you, I got the peace, I got the constructive thinking. The order is the challenge for me. I like a little chaos in my life. It shows sometimes. So that's where my challenge is the order. So that's the mission for today, all right? The other one, as I always suggest, which is a spiritual practice, is to do something loving for yourself, do something kind for yourself, do something compassionate for yourself, whatever it looks like. It is 3 deep breaths. And if that is too much, because I don't even think I made it through 3 deep breaths yesterday. I think I got through 2. But, whatever it is, drink a cup of coffee and enjoy it. Take a walk, go hug a tree. Whatever it is that is loving, kind, and compassionate for yourself. I suggest it every day because I am encouraging you to create a habit. I'm encouraging you to create a default setting. I am encouraging you to do something which will create a first response so that no matter what happens in this glass that we see through darkly, we have a loving, kind, and compassionate response with ourselves. That we remember that we have a box filled with hope within us that we have access to all the time. And if we can do it for ourselves, we can do it for anybody. All right, beloveds, I'm going to move into the process of my day. But as always, I do encourage you to do something to engage your mind and your body, to go get a face full of sun. It's beautiful out there right now, and the birds are singing. I think we have this one little cardinal that is singing to its mate. I think cardinals mate for life too. And he is just singing for 3 days. The trees are naked, and I keep seeing this little patch of red up in the tops of these naked trees, just singing his heart out, singing his heart out. So drink plenty of water. And whatever else you do, open the windows of your soul. Allow the breath of heaven to remind you do live in heaven right here, right now. It's all around you all the time. And an easy way to find it, or at least to start looking, is to look for the good and praise it, like Emma says. Okay, so I'm going to encourage you to have a great day, an amazing day, a wonderful day, an enchanting day, a magical day, a fantastical day, a good day. And if that's too much pressure, simply have a day, because you are enough just as you are. You are a beloved child of God, in whom God is well pleased, always and forever. It's a state of grace. It can't be earned. It is always given, and it is never taken away. All right, that's the definition of grace. Okay, before I get off, he's almost asleep. He's just waiting for me to leave. I'll show you what caused my ugly cry yesterday. Let me see if I can get down here. See that little face? That's Hayes. I have 2 that are 17. He shows that he's 17. He just turned his head. He was like, really, Mom? Go away. I want to go back to sleep. So I'm going to go away and let him go back to sleep. Catch us on the social medias. I'm the Running Rev Ryan. On them, we are Creative Life Spiritual Center or Creative Life Spark. Take care of yourself. Know that you're loved. And I will see you next time.